I'm doing a video requested by my new friend, David. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience teaching English in Japan. I'm going to be focusing on my very first job, which was at a daycare called Kids Duo. Let's get into it! Kids Duo was basically like a daycare that was all in English. So it's an after-school program for kids to be shuttled straight from their school in our Kids Duo bus straight to Kids Duo. And this type of service is very common in Japan, especially since parents are usually busy with work. So my basic work day was from 11 a.m. up until 8 p.m. I would get to work around like 10:57 every day. And one thing about working in Japan is they expect you to be at work like 15 minutes early, and they expect you to stay a little bit later after work, but I was always there on the dot. To prepare for the workday, all I had to do was put on a blue polo, and that was our uniform. Like I would wear jeans and the blue polo. We weren't really like actual teachers, we were more of daycare workers who taught English. Here's the schedule. Every day we would have to teach this type of schedule. We would mostly work from the time when the kids get to school, which is around 1 or 2 or 3-ish. Schools in Japan are really weird. Like the elementary school kids, they get off of school at really sporadic times. So you never know when they're gonna get there. But this was before Corona. We had training in the Kids Duo training facility somewhere in Tokyo. So teachers that were hired for Kids Duo were flown into Tokyo to train. There were teachers that were dispatched to like Osaka or like outside of Tokyo or like Hokkaido, whatever. But everyone was trained in one facility in Tokyo. So at the training, we practiced teaching each other. Adults would pretend to be kids and practice on each other. Kind of stupid. That was the beginning of us learning how to be entertainers. So at Kids Duo, we were not really teachers. We were more there for the kids to have fun and to want to sign up to come to Kids Duo so that the school can make more money. So we were entertainers for kids. Okay, so that was the biggest shock. I wasn't really a teacher. I didn't feel like a teacher at this job, but my title was Native English Instructor, but really we were just there to make the kids have fun and make them sign up. So let's talk about the good parts of teaching at Kids Duo. It was really fun. I had a lot of experience getting to play with little Japanese kids. My favorites were actually, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but my favorites were like the kindy kids, which were kindergarten kids. They're like from 3 years old until like 5 or 6 years old. I love them so much. They're so cute. They're so small. Oh yeah, so I had the chance to get close to a lot of small children, which, okay, like I honestly, I like kids, but after working at Kids Duo, I don't want to have kids anymore. Well, maybe I want to have kids, but not anytime soon, because I feel like I've had my fair share of kids in the year and a half that I was working there. So yeah, that's a really good positive, is you'll be able to have a lot of fun with little kids who you'll get to become really close with pretty much. Since it's a daycare after school program, you have a lot of time to get to know them and really help them try their best to start speaking English. It was really satisfying to see them come into Kids Duo not being able to speak a word of English, and then they start asking you questions like, "Teacher, what? Like, what's this?" It's so cute. Like, they have those Japanese accents and I freaking love it. Onion. So at my school, they called me Samantha. My name is Samantha, but they couldn't pronounce it right because Japanese people have a thing called katakana English, so it butchers all of their pronunciation. But anyways, they would call me Teacher Samantha. And one of my favorite little girls, she would, every time she comes in to school, she would be like, she's 4 years old, she would be like, "Hello, Teacher Samantha," and then she would just sit on my lap. Like one time I was still prepping for class, so I was sitting there doing my thing. She comes over and she just plops on my lap, and I'm like, okay. It's so cute. Like, that's one of the biggest positivities about teaching kids at Kids Duo is you'll make a lot of friends with little tiny humans, and they're just so cute. And like once you get close to them, they like sit on you, they like hug you, and they give you presents, and it's just I love it. Another positive was that at Kids Duo we were really only working half a day. Our hours were from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. But kids don't get to Kids Duo until after school, so they don't arrive until like 1 or 2 or 3-ish. The first half of the day we're supposed to be preparing for our classes. Every day the teachers move around a lot so that the kids don't get bored, and so what we would do was we would spend the first half of the day prepping. The longer you're there, the more game ideas you have and the more experience you have with the type of classes that we teach at Kids Duo, so you'll just be able to be like, look at what we're supposed to do for the day and be done preparing in like an hour or 2 hours, and then you just have like some time to do whatever. I mean, don't do whatever, you're supposed to be working, but it got to the point where I would prep so quickly that I would have nothing to do, and our boss would sometimes not be there. Like he would be in the front doing his own thing, so we'd be in the back like prepping. I started learning how to crochet, so I would sit there and do my thing. Sometimes we'd listen to music and watch YouTube or do whatever, but we tried to do it on the low, you know. So that was a good part about teaching at Kids Duo. We had a lot of free time at the beginning of the day. Oh, and snacks! So they get off of school, come to Kids Duo, do their homework, play, and then they eat snacks. And with the snacks, we would always have like extras. We would use them as prizes for the kids, and sometimes like if I got hungry, we could just like eat the extra snacks. Well, this will depend on your school because our school is pretty small, so the snack orders, they always come in certain numbers, so sometimes we didn't have enough kids to like eat all of the snacks. Teachers would get to eat snacks, so that was pretty cool. This is like a Japanese culture thing, but whenever you get like a new employee or something, they would have like a welcome drinking party. So we went out to a yakiniku restaurant. Yakiniku is like the Japanese version of Korean barbecue. That was a really fun part about teaching in Japan, was you get to go out to drinking parties with your new work family. And then after Corona, that kind of changed. Now I want to talk about the crazy mind-blowing stuff that was special to Kids Duo. Kids Duo had a discipline system where we would use resets. So a reset is some kind of call that the teacher does, and then the kids have a response. So for example, one of the most common resets at Kids Duo was, I'm the teacher, I would be like, who's sitting nicely? And then the kids would be like, I'm sitting nicely. And then they have to sit like this. And if they're like moving around being crazy, then we would reward other kids and give them stars, or we would take away the bad kids' stars. And that will really get them to sit still so that you can speak to them in a foreign language. Because half the time the kids didn't know what you were saying if you were speaking a lot of new English. So it was really difficult sometimes to communicate with the children because a lot of them couldn't speak English. At my school anyways. I know at other schools they had like advanced kids, but we mostly had really low level kids. So having those resets was really useful for the teachers, but it came off as really military when I first started, and I just thought it was such a weird world to be in. Like, I kind of felt bad for them because honestly, as long as the kid is paying attention, I don't care how they're sitting. Me personally, in class, I would be sitting like this, but I'm paying attention. Don't want to spend the effort to sit like a robot. I like to sit relaxed like this. And some of the kids would do that sometimes, and honestly, I didn't care, but to the other, like mostly the Japanese teachers, they would care about how the kids are sitting. And so we would have to, if we see kids like sitting like this or something, we would have to be like, who's sitting nicely? And another common one we did was ba 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 ba. And then the kids would respond, ba ba, yes, teacher Samantha. And then you just do your thing. Yeah, there was a lot of weird things we were doing with the poor kids. It was like a military. Sometimes. Most of the time it was like a zoo. Kids are crazy, man. It was so exhausting. I got really used to standing all day, and talking a lot. At first, like, I lost my voice because we would have to like raise our voices to where the kids can hear us, and we would have to do like 90% of the talking. So honestly, that's not a really good way to teach a language. It was mostly just making sure that they have a good time and that they want to come back so that they can keep paying us money to come to our school. Another crazy thing about teaching there was promotion. So we had to do promotion, which is where two teachers team up and we would take our big yellow van. The native teacher, me, would bring a ton of colorful balloons. So I would have a ton of balloons, and the Japanese teacher would have a ton of flyers. We would drive to an elementary school, park somewhere near the elementary school, get out of the van, and I would have my balloons. The Japanese teacher with me would have flyers. Then we would go to near the entrance of the school, but not too close to where the actual teachers would see us, because if they see us, sometimes they would kick us out. But we would try to get close to the entrance, and we would stand there and wait for the kids to get off school. When the kids started getting off of school, their parents would come pick them up and they would start walking back home or wherever they were going. And this is where we come in. So I would be like, hello, do you want a balloon? Free balloon. And then the kids would start running. They would start running to us, and then the parents, sometimes I could see it, like the parents, they would be like, what the, like, don't you dare go to those strangers with balloons, but they just come up to us anyways. I feel like kids there are so easy to kidnap, but it's so safe, so people don't worry about that. But yeah, I would be like, what color do you want? Ooh, blue? Say blue, please. And then try to get them to repeat and like just try to interact with the kid in English so that the parent can see. And then I would give them the balloon, try to play with them a little bit, and then the Japanese teacher, while I'm doing all of this, is attacking the parent and being like, hi, we're from Kids Duo. This is like an after-school English daycare program where we can teach your kid English and make them have fun while you have some time at home to not care about your kid or whatever. That's how we would advertise our school. I'm not sure if this was common for like other schools because we were a franchise, but that's what we would do sometimes to get more customers in. That was an interesting part of teaching in Japan, was being a professional pedophile. Let's talk about teaching there after Corona. It started getting really bad around mid-March. They actually mandated all teachers to start wearing masks all day long. I remember the very first day that we had to wear masks, one of our kids, he was so scared. He was like, why are all of the teachers wearing masks? We had to wear masks all freaking day. It sucked, man. Like, if you're over here complaining about wearing a mask into Walmart, I'm sorry, but you don't know the half of it. And with this job, I was like standing, running around, playing with the kids. It got so bad when we had to start wearing our masks that I was breaking out, like, because I would have the mask on, be sweating, run around with kids, then go home, boom, pimples. And we actually started having to clean the school really often too, so we started disinfecting a lot, especially during snack time. We would clean all the tables, have them... Oh yeah, and this is really interesting about Japan. Like, before Corona, the routine for kids when they get to Kids Duo is they have hand sanitizer. We sanitize their hands and then we check their temperature. We were doing that already, like every day. Check the temperature, clean their hands. And then after Corona, we still kept doing that, but we kind of started being more serious about it because of Corona, obviously. And then eventually it got to the point where even the kids were required to wear masks. And if they didn't, then we would give them a mask to wear. And if they didn't want to wear it, then we would have to talk to their parents and tell them like, hey, you can't come to Kids Duo if you're not wearing a mask. That was what we decided to do at my franchise because all of the teachers agreed that we didn't want to get Corona, so we were gonna be strict about the masks. I know some other bigger schools are not as strict about the masks, but at one point we did get in like face shields, and our boss wanted us to only wear the face shields and no face masks. All of the teachers were like, no. So we just didn't listen to him. Man, now that I think about it, me and my teachers were assholes. So my boss's reasoning was that if we only wear face shields, the kids can see our smiling faces and they can see how we pronounce our words. Sorry, that was cringy. He wanted us to only wear the face shields, and we were like, no, that's not gonna protect anything, because when we talk, our spit's gonna go this way, it's gonna go that way, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go everywhere. So we're like, we're not gonna do that. So we kept on wearing our face masks, even though it sucked. When we got the face shields, we did try to wear the mask and the face shield, but it got to be too much because at that time I was wearing my glasses, a mask, and a face shield. So when I talk, everything would get fogged up, and so I was like, no, I just forget the face shield. I'll talk about the negatives a little bit. So to be honest, it wasn't all fun and roses and sunshine and rainbows. Like, there was a lot of hard times when I was working here. Oh yeah, we closed. Yeah, the school closed for like 2 months in March and April because of Corona, actually. So we were only getting paid like 60% of our salary. So that was enough for me to pay my bills, but not anything else. We did like a few Zoom classes and had the kids like show us their favorite toys or stuff in their house. But yeah, that's one thing that happened after Corona. And yeah, so it was during this time that I started getting kind of depressed. So here's the thing, like, you move to a new country, you're gonna miss home. As much as I hate my hometown, I started missing home, and I think most of it was I just missed my family. And so I kind of spiraled into this little depressive state, but I think this is normal. After switching to my second job, they were so much more supportive than Kids Duo, by the way. During the info sessions they were giving us about teaching for Eon, they specifically stated that most teachers who move to a new country go through some sort of depressive or like missing home phase, and like after you get over that, it's fine. But I did go through that at one point, and I started getting insomnia, and it just, like, my mental health was not that great. And the thing about teaching in Japan is mental health is non-existent. So if you feel like you're like depressed or something, people are not going to take you very seriously. So just be aware of that. But everything will be fine after you get through it. Like, I got through it. I'm not depressed anymore. That was like a phase. Okay, that was just a phase. That was one downside of moving and teaching in Japan, was you're gonna have that time where you start missing home like crazy. But Corona just made it worse because I had plans to go home and visit for like Christmas. Like, I wanted to come home and visit, but I couldn't because Corona happened. So I felt stuck, and especially since my school closed down for 2 months and I was just home by myself, that just felt really, really lonely for me, because it was 2 months of me just being at home. Like, at first I loved it. I was like, yay, no work, but then also no going out, no having fun. So everything was just going you know. So I got insomnia, I got depressed, and then I mean, I had to go to the psychiatrist a few times, but it worked out. I'm fine. Like, I want to go back now. It was bad, but as long as you have a good mentality, you'll be a-okay. Anything else that was bad about teaching at Kids Duo? Oh yeah, there's another really bad thing about teaching at Kids Duo was like, they wanted to get as many students as they could. So I knew my friend's school, she had to teach a class with like, what was it, 80 kids? Oh my god, I can't. Like, my school never got that bad. The most kids we had was like 40-something kids in a day, but her school, the kids couldn't even fit in the chairs because they didn't have enough chairs, so they had to stand. Like, I don't understand, but like, Kids Duo tries to get so many kids because it's better for profit. Like, the more kids you get, the more money you get. But it's not good for the teachers because each classroom is supposed to have 2 teachers, one native and one Japanese. It would be really hard to control a ton of kids who don't speak English. And you're not allowed to speak Japanese, by the way. If you speak Japanese, then that's a big no-no. So you just have to speak English to a ton of kids that don't know what you're saying and control them at the same time and teaching them English, and it's just not possible sometimes. Well, that's a little bit about the good and the bad of teaching at Kids Duo, my first job in Japan. If you have any more questions, anything else you want to know, please leave a comment and message me, reach out to me, I'll get back to you. This took me 3 tries because I didn't know what the I wanted to focus on. Oh, and if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I'm going to be posting every Wednesday and every weekend. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!